Go. Boo the man. He is a fraud. Boo the man. Boo! Boo! Hello.
The chaos. Stop talking. I can't hear you. I don't have my headphones on. Wait a minute. Now I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello.
There you go.
Oh.
Oh,
Can you hear me on there, Ayana? Yeah, she can hear me.
I can hear you. I thought you were supposed to be on the restream thing, but
Look, Ayana's
you're
our
on the
only
keyboard.
watcher.
Nobody else wants to see us. I'll filter in, but I need to go get coffee anyway, so I'll be right back.
All right. What's up to our other viewer? How's it going? What's up? Who we got in the house? Got a lot of things to talk about today. Hello, hello. I feel like T-Town's here. Oh, it's Howard. What's up? How are you doing, Howard? What's up, Invasion? Man, yeah, we got some good weather. Solar Guard sample sheets finally came in. So Howard, if you need any of those, come holler at us. They didn't give us much. They didn't say that, like, they said that they're kind of limited on those sample big sheets. It's silver, True View, stainless steel, and then they have a couple of the polyester frost. I don't think they gave us any samples of the vinyl ones yet. So if you're interested and feel like it's time for a visit somewhere near in the future, hi Liz. I hope you're doing well. It'd be cool to hear how your new shop's coming along. I know that's got to be exciting. Everything's good, Invasion. Everything's good. Just it's a little bit of a slower day, but I mean, we still got a decent amount of orders in. We had a guy from Detroit come and visit us. His nephew was looking to get into tinning, so he's hooking him up with tools and a bunch of presents. I just gave the Helios Nova a try a few days ago, the one you sent me a while back. It was amazing. Do you think it naturally have a darker hue to the film? Yeah, I would say so. It's all natural carbon. It's not dyed. Um, I don't know. I like the color. I have it on my windows, and every time I try to take pictures of a car that I recently tinted in Nova, I always try to get a picture from the inside looking out because that clarity is just, well, you know?
It's yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
What's
because
up, everybody?
everyone that takes pictures of like shit they tinted, they always take a picture from like 20 feet away. Like they're just showing off this like very far away view of the car they just tinted. And it's like, no, I want to see what it looks like from the passenger seat or from the driver's seat. Like, show those pictures. Where are those pictures at?
Yeah, because I mean, everybody knows that Helios Nova and Supernova is clear on the inside and dark on the outside. Duh. Oh, you guys didn't know that? I bet you John Boxcar Howard knew that.
And a crazy thing about hue, which I'm no scientist, but like I don't know, based from my experience and listening to other people's experience, and listening to the glass people talk, like window isn't like 100% clear, right? Like there is a hue to natural glass. So,
Yeah. It tends to have a green hue. Nissans tend to have a yellow hue. Um, BMWs, Mercedes tend to be a little more on the blue side of things.
yeah.
So, um, there's also shade to the windows too. So we typically say a factory cleared glass is about 70%, but the reality is it's anywhere from 70 to 85% usually if you put a meter on it. And that's they put UV inhibitor type shit in glass. That's where the color comes from. And, depending on who they are or what they are, is going to be how dark that glass actually meters. But if y'all had a tint meter, which some of you do, but some of you probably don't, that's something that you can also check. And with some simple math, you just take the shade of what the window is and multiply it by the shade that you're wanting to use, and that'll tell you what the shade that it's going to be, if that makes sense. And you can do a whole number for like the starting shade and then use a 2-digit decimal point for the shade you're going to use, and it'll give you a two
Wait,
digit.
can you see that formula again? You said the shaded is times what? Oh,
I
your voice stopped.
My voice didn't do nothing.
It's back.
Yeah.
Shade.
Do you have me on your speakers? Because I can hear me.
Oh, that's what it is. You're not on my speakers now.
Love it. Anyway, so we're going to share desktop or share screen. We're going to go window. We're going to go calculator. All right. So, say for instance, you got a factory tinted window, and we see this question all the time. And they're like, what do I need to put on a factory window to make it 15%? Well, first you need to know what the factory window's metering at. Now, we've always generically said that it's 20%. So let's pretend we got 20%. So we're going to go 20% times what are we going to put on it? Well, simple math says that if I put 50% on it, I'm going to end up with a 10%. But if I'm starting at 20% and I put a 70% on it, oops, back that up, 70% on it, I'm going to end up at 14%. So that would be your closest option. And that's really as simple as it is. So, and real formula, if you meter the window, a lot of newer cars are going to meter at 25. So then somebody wanting 15%, you can put 50 over it and get 12.5%. You won't want to do it with the 70 because it already starts late. It ain't going to make, but the difference is so minimal from that to that. But on the same note, too, if you meter the front clear window and say it's metering at 78%, and then you want to put 20 on it, you're going to end up at like 15.6. So it really just depends on what the window is to begin with, because 20 isn't 20 on the car ever, so. And then you also have, and we're guilty of it with Helios also, and I don't know the actual, and I wanted to do this, but it confuses people, and then you have a lot of explaining to do. But 5%, 15%, 20%, 35%, 50%, 70%, those are all category numbers. They're not actual percentage. whatever film you're using, if you order a 20% and put a meter on it, you're going to find most of the time, more times than not, it's not 20%. It may be 17%, it may be 22 or 23%, or anywhere in between. Sometimes, like, no, Avery was 22%. I believe that Nova is 18%. 18/19, it bounces back and forth. It varies a little bit. So, yeah. Guard 20 on the rear and Helios Nova 20 on the front. And the Helios looks a little darker from the inside out. And the Helios looks like it has a brown hue to it, unlike gray from Solar Guard. So Solar Guard doesn't actually offer a carbon film, and carbon by nature has a brown hue to it. It's not, even though we think of carbon, we think black. It's not a true black. So it's going to have a little bit of a brown hue. And they do put an additive in there to help it blacken up a bit, but you can only do so much um, with dye. And it's not meant to be a dyed film, so they don't want to put too much dye in it to change its appearance, just to make it respectable. And so that's why it leans a little warmer on the color scale versus a dyed film. They've got ultimate flexibility. They can make it whatever color they want. And a lot of people do enjoy a little bit of a cooler look or a bluer look. And so a lot of your dyed films will lean towards that direction. And so that's where that difference is. Although, if you didn't put them side by side, you'd probably never see the brownness in it. It's a really neutral. But when you start putting it up against other films, then you're going to start seeing the difference in the hue between different films. And you'll notice that, like as far as Reeboxers like myself, you're going to notice that a lot of companies that rebox the same film, we're not actually reboxing the same film. We get to select from a color palette, and there's a lot involved in that. Manufacturers will run several different lines of the same film with different color hues. So, like, and I'm not even allowed to tell you what mine compares to. So we'll just say if you take mine and then you take the very, very popular brand B that everyone thinks is right now all the craze, they're the same film. But if you look at them side by side, they look a little different. Most people tell me mine looks better. Now, I personally picked mine as far as what color it's going to look like because I use two different manufacturers. I use one manufacturer for the orbit and another manufacturer for the carbon and the ceramic. And I want all three lines to look real close. I like the consistency there. It's just that the manufacturer that makes my orbit, they make the best, hands down, best, longest lasting dyed film on the market. It's never going to fail. Your customer's car is going to die before that film fails. Um, that being said, they don't offer a carbon or a carbon ceramic. And I am not going to use an HP product because I've seen what HP products can do in the onset of new technology in automotive, and it can wreak havoc for a period of time. And I don't want to put any of my customers in that position, so I'm not going to use their HP products, which would be their next step up. And they got an HP and then they got an HP ceramic, and those are both metallized films. I'm not going to use those. So I went to another company. I want to use carbon, but I don't want to use like a Suntech carbon because Suntech carbon isn't carbon. It doesn't have carbon in it. It's just named carbon, kind of like Sunny Delight, and it's like an orange drink, but it's not orange juice. It's not even kind of orange juice. It's a powder that you put with water and mix it up, and it's orange. And It's Sunny D. It's not orange juice. It's not even part orange juice. And so there's companies out there with carbon lines that are not carbon. They're named carbon. And so that's different. And I wanted a true carbon, something with nanoparticles that was created from a solid because I wanted the performance of the carbon, which a dyed carbon doesn't have the performance values because the nanoparticles is what blocks the heat. Just like in a metallized film, an HP film, the metal particles, which are nanoparticles by nature, nanotechnology is not new. It's not new to the window tint industry. It's been there since I've been here, and it's just that we used metals before, and now we're getting away from metals because it's too risky and too much interference, and there's too much electronic stuff and things that won't work. So that's where that comes from. But it does lean a little towards the browner side of things. They do also have what they call a black series, and it does have that that
Cooler.
cooler bluish kind of tinge to it. I just, before they came out with that, I was rolling with this, and I always stayed real low key with the Helios. So I'm not a big film supplier like some of these guys. That don't have deep enough pockets to just throw another 60, $70,000 into a whole nother line of film so that we can have a different color. Although I want to. Trust me, I want to. But I need you guys to buy more film. I need you to tell your friends to buy more film. If we can get enough film going out the door, I can possibly start adding lines and do a black series. And we've been talking about it. It's just that the initial investment is just so intense that, yeah, if that makes sense. I don't know. I went on a
It
tangent.
makes a
Oh,
lot
and
of sense.
on the other hand, too, though, so when you use the supernova, even though it's got the exact same base, exact same coloring, it's got an oxide layer, which is the ceramic, which has a bluish hue to it. And so when that's overlapped on the slightly browner um, carbon, it tends to look cooler by nature and more neutral. And nobody picks out the brown in the
Yeah, they
supernova.
it's like they almost cancel each other out, or
Yeah, well, it just adds to it. It's just like when you're mixing a paint color and you start putting drops of something else in it, the color changes. And it's the same thing with that oxide layer in the carbon. They've got their base color, but that oxide layer has a hue to it. So it's just like putting more drops into your paint can and coming up with a new color. But that's why they will look different to each other, even though the construction is identical, if that makes sense.
it makes sense. And I think, in the end, it just comes down to optical illusion. Like, I don't know. I keep thinking about that one time I showed you that picture where like the yellow wasn't there, but your mind tells you the yellow is there because you're expecting the yellow to be there. And then when you zoom
Yeah.
into it, you see that it's just black and white. And it's like I wonder how many
Yeah.
people thought they seen a color because they expected to see a color. Like the customer will never see a color because they don't expect to see that color. And no one can tell them, I don't know, but
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot like that for one, but what triggers it is when you see a comparison. Seeing it by itself, nobody's ever accusing Helios Nova of being brown. I mean, we've been selling Nova and Supernova for 6 or 7 years now. Nobody's ever accused it of being brown. Everyone's like it's really neutral. But in the instance that you put it right beside another film, you will see which direction on that scale it goes. And now that you've seen it, you can't unsee it. Just like the yellow in the picture, like you were talking about, which was freaky, by the way. That's stupid.
Lobo, what's up, dude? I feel like I haven't seen you in forever.
I haven't seen him since like last week.
Don't you got a family trip you have to make out this way sometime soon?
It seems like it's about that time of year. But yeah, so the Helios film you guys are going to find is just absolutely amazing. And, those of you that use it, know. Those of you that don't, well, you just you just won't know until you try it. People try Helios film and they're like, "Oh my God, what is that stuff?" And I'm like, "I can't tell you, but it's wonderful." Actually, one-on-one conversations I might tell you because, and I shouldn't say that publicly because I'm still not supposed to, but um, that's the other thing. Manufacturers, for whatever reason, they're all like, I don't know, they're still in the world of everything's a competition, and you you can't tell who makes what because then people know that we're making you the same film that you sell for less money than this other person is selling for more money.
Well,
But
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say we're just selling film. We're not, some of those other guys, they're selling marketing, they're selling popularity, they're they're selling way more than window film. And so if you really like, but I mean, if you've used other people's film in this industry that are branded Reeboxers or whatever, and believe it or not, there's companies out there that's got you guys believing that they manufacture their own film and they don't, which is hilarious. I mean, it's not hilarious. It's actually deceiving, and I'm not allowed to call them out either.
Hey Rick,
But
are
I
you old enough? Are you old enough to remember Hydrox cookies, cookie sandwiches?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
It was
I'm
by
probably
s-
older.
the it was Sunshine Biscuit Company before like Nabisco blew up.
Maybe I'm not old enough. I would have to ask my mother.
So Hydrox was the original chocolate with vanilla cream in the middle cookie company, and Nabisco and Sunshine Biscuit Company were at war with each other. And Nabisco is like, dude, that's a badass idea. We're gonna do the same thing, but we're gonna get all of our chocolate from Hershey's, a household brand that everyone knows and it's really popular. And they came out with the Oreo and it blew up. And it's basically the same cookie as Hydrox. And no one today really knows that Hydrox was the actual original. If you like put two to two together, you would thought that Oreo was the original, and no one gives a shit about Hydrox. And it's
It
just
looks like
like
Lobo
weird.
does. But
Yup.
Sean Vogler's on here, and he will tell anybody that he does not make his own film. Sean is actually one of those people. Actually, Solar FX is one of those people that should be ultimately respected in this industry because they play really close to the manufacturing level of their film. They put in the box what I aspire to be more like them. They put in the box what they want in the box. They're not one of those companies. Now, don't get me wrong, and Sean, don't take offense to this, but they do have some really lower line films, which as a window tinner, I just don't agree with, and that's why I don't have those. But there is a market for those. There's people out there that want the cheapest shit that they can get their hands on. And I understand you got to start somewhere. And I've actually toyed with that for forever in my head because am I wrong in using a lifetime warranty color stable film as my bottom film? I mean, is that wrong? I mean, it's just how I feel. And if you feel something strongly enough, of course you believe that you're right. But there are so many people, and I get customers, I got friends of mine that won't buy from me because I don't sell a cheap enough film. And I just let them. And I don't know. I just I don't know. But Sean is a guy that I don't know what he's doing right now. He is a guy that I would invite onto the show and talk um branding and marketing, and because obviously if you guys haven't noticed, Solar FX does a really good job of making themselves front and center, and they don't use party tricks. They're not out there hiring superstars from Facebook, and they're not out there dumping their money into famous YouTubers. They're kind of building their brand on integrity, which is kind of what I'm trying to do. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do pay one of those superstars on YouTube a little bit of money a month to hang my banner in his background. I don't know if it works or not, but I want to support him because he worked for me for 5 years, and I mean, that's what you do is you support the people in your circle, right? So, but yeah, a long time ago, someone told me permaplate is just Reebok's Loomer. When I worked at Mike Ward Infinity, don't know how true it is. I'm going to have to try some of your film. Yeah, give it a try. You're going to absolutely love it, because people just do. I'm not the I'm not the cheapest on the market. I'm not the most expensive in my market. I'm way not the most expensive in my market, but um, I don't know. I just try to be who I needed, and I always needed somebody that was just a little more forgiving on price, that had a better quality product. I I can't quite dispel that you get what you pay for, because there's brands like Lexan out there, and other brands that we're not going to name. And Andrew, I think you're right. I think Permaplate was Reebok's Lumar, but see, Lumar is Eastman Chemicals. Eastman Chemicals makes a lot of films. So just because Eastman Chemicals made Permaplate film did not mean, and that's if they did. I believe that they did, but I don't know. And so, going on the assumption that they did, it wasn't the same as you would buy if you got it in a Lumar box. Nowadays, there are a lot of companies that are buying, as far as the polyester and the coloring technology and everything, we're using basically the same product. That didn't used to be the case. And with a company like Eastman, they'll give you whatever it is you want. So if you want cheap, they'll give you cheap. You want some 1 mil single layer dyed film, they'll do it for you. It's just a matter of making the purchase and putting your name on it. So it's not necessarily the same, but the same company probably did manufacture the film. And that's where, you know, the word Reeboks is so deceiving, because we're not actually reboxing anybody's film. We are using a manufacturer that manufactures film for many different companies, and we're having them give us a film, and we get to make picks. Like when I sat down with this one company, it opened my eyes, because I was just blown away at how many different options in the same film level I was able to pick, and they were all the same film, but if you looked at them, they're all different, and I had to figure out which one I liked better. So, yeah, some things that go on behind the scenes that you just don't know. Sean says I'm kind. I'm not kind. Well, I guess I'm kind of kind, but it shouldn't be abnormal. Alex is laughing.
Earlier, I told Rick that if he was a dep, he would be a cool dep, like
What's a dep?
deputy.
Oh,
Deputy.
deputy.
Yeah.
I'd be a
Like
cool
you,
cop.
like you'd be the cop that'd be like, "Look, man, I don't want to cause any trouble. I just want you to be honest with me, and like we can be cool."
I'm not trying to take anybody to jail today because I don't know if you're aware of this, but if I take you to jail, there's a lot of paperwork I need to do, and I'm not about the paperwork. Can we just come to an
Look,
understanding that you don't do this no more?
if you were taking somebody to jail and you were hungry and you went to go stop at a McDonald's first before you had to like take them to jail and like do all that
I'd buy them
paperwork,
McDonald's too.
yeah, you would.
I really would. I I don't know. I mean, lately these last 14 plus years, I've really learned a different way of treating the human race. And meanwhile, watching society also learn a different way of treating the human race, which is absolute opposite to what I've been learning. And personally, I like the way I feel at night better. I mean, how often do you see me really wound up? I just, I mean, sometimes things will
Every
irritate
day.
me because, oh yeah.
What's up,
Sometimes
T Town?
I get irritated because, other people's children, but most of the time I just don't. I mean, there's this one guy that I knew that I had him blocked and then I unblocked him to help him. And then I ended up blocking him again because I mean, when somebody takes away your peace, they just don't belong in your circle. And no matter how good of a person to that person you want to be, if you allow them to be in your circle, it's bad for you. And not because they're bad, but because you can't handle them. And that was my case with this particular person. I could not handle this particular person. I can handle most people, no matter how bad of a day they are and how mean are having and how mean they are. It takes practice, but then there's people that are like next level. And hey,
Hey, what's
from
up,
Fiji,
Fiji?
no shit. I love it. You know what? Fiji sounds nice this time of year, but I don't even know where
How
on the
much is the
globe Fiji
flights
is.
there?
So Alex has got some searching
I'm
to do. And he's
looking.
like,
We might go to
maybe
Fiji
I'm gonna. Yeah,
for a weekend or
Alex is so
something.
easily. Matt Glasgow, what is up? The day that you stopped in, we were nothing but cool to you. Even stayed late to shoot the shit. Well, we do that. We are all about that. We I don't know how other companies feel. I assume that all distributors and suppliers just love to have walk-in company, and it's the the ability. It's almost like a mini convention, and it's actually cooler than a convention. Because when I go to a convention, it's hard to have a single conversation with anybody. There's so much going on, and so when you swing by here and get to shop, I get to chit chat. What I hate is sometimes this spring has been its own kind of different than previous years, but
Jeez.
I'll have customers come in and Alex, hangs with them and everything, and I'm all trying to wrap up what I'm doing, and by the time I get up, they're pulling out the parking lot, and I'm like, oh, I missed them, but that happens. It just does.
Hey, what's up, Matt? Yeah, dude. Yeah, I don't know. I have fun. I don't know. I like giving tours and you know, hands-on demonstrating what I like better and why I like that better over whatever. You know, good stroke doctor versus sideswiper demo.
Yeah. Hey, there's a good question for the 16E out there. Stroke doctor or sideswipe? And how many of you guys like both of them? It was the Taco
Taco
Bell
Bell
chicken.
chicken. Yeah, you remember? They gave you freaking Popeyes when you ordered
Oh
Taco Bell.
yeah, and they said that the driver said, "Well, that's what they gave me," and so you know, I was shit out of luck. I was getting my money back, but I could eat it if I wanted to, and so I started eating it. And the driver showed up, and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna need that back." I'm like,
What's up,
really? You should
Don?
communicate better. What's up, Don? Driving and listening. Good stuff. Love that.
Dude.
No, I was not happy that day. I just couldn't believe. I mean, so I'm in the customer service business, and I know I've many years ago, somebody taught me to be who I needed. And so I put that right into business practice, customer service practice. And so when I have to deal with that, you can't tell. It just was so dumb. Yeah. So I don't get wound up too much, but I was wound up that day. But, I mean, I don't eat Popeye's chicken, and I got to have a piece of Popeye's chicken, and I'd be willing to bet that that guy went and delivered the other two pieces to whoever he was supposed to deliver it to.
And it was white meat too, right? And you're like, what the fuck?
It was, and I'm usually a dark meat kind of guy, but whatever.
That was the universe trying to keep you up on your diet.
Stroke Doctor has better angle that pushes out more solution. Yeah, I really like. I mean, so I think the Stroke Doctor came out before the Side Swiper, and at least that's the first one I saw. And remember, I'm a dinosaur in this, so I started out with a Teflon card and a knife, pretty much. I mean, we didn't even really have rubber squeegees back then. Um, Maybe we did. I don't know. It was so long ago. But yeah, so when cool things started coming out, maybe I just started using the Stroke Doctor first, and but ergonomically it just fits my hand and my style so much better when I try to use a side swiper. It's so tiny, almost like a Barbie doll toy to me. And it just doesn't seem like if I'm trying to do a first pass on a back window, it's like it feels little in my hand cramps, where I've got a real handle to hold on to with the Stroke Doctor. So I personally, and we were having a discussion about the side swipe and the Stroke Doctor today, because those are two tools that I mean, a lot of tools people are like, well, I like this for some things, but I like that for others. And the Stroke Doctor and the side swiper do not fall into that category. They are a love one, hate the other kind of tool. Like, nobody is like, oh, I use both of them and I use one for this and one for that. At least nobody I've talked to about it. So I would be curious to know if anybody's like actually uses both. I don't use both. I got no use for the side swiper for every window.
Oh, the
Yeah,
side swipe.
yeah, and that's true. But see, I use my handled squeegee. I use this guy
Well, like
for
I see what
every
he's
every
saying though,
window.
but like if he's using it the way that I think he's using it, I would much rather go with like a Conqueror.
Yeah,
Cause
maybe.
I've seen people do full windows with Conquerors like on videos and stuff, and it actually
Oh,
it inspired me. Like I don't know, I was having like an off week or something, and Charles kept like getting on me about leaving water on the sides. And I'm like, in my head, I swear I'm like doing the motions right. And I don't know. I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna instead of using a tri-edge, I'm gonna use a Conqueror if the
dude,
gaskets are thick enough. And
when the Conqueror first came out, a lot of us switched over to the Conqueror was an every window squeegee. Oh, it was amazing, and it had the hard side and it had the squeegee side, and then we realized, Conqueror is more of a specialty thing, and it's a good corner tool. It's a really good corner tool because it does have the hard side. Although coming out of the mold, I'm not a fan of the hard side, but you can sand that down or run it through a hard card sharpener and square it right up. And it is a great corner tool. The one thing, as I started getting fatter, I stopped carrying it in my pouch because it doesn't lay down in the pouch because it's a little bit longer. So when I'd bend over, it would stab me in the belly, and I don't like that. So it found a home in my toolbox rather than my pouch, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
They need to make a tool for God, what's that front quarter? It's like a front quarter that's like so deep in the front that like you could barely get your like finger in it. What was that?
What was what?
Was it a Volkswagen? It was a front quarter, but it was like way, 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 way up there into the dash. Oh, GTI. It could have been a GTI.
Oh yeah,
Oh, it
yeah,
was a
yeah.
GTI. It was a GTI. Yup. And it was like normally in those situations we would just like vinyl over it, but like the customer wasn't having it, and I think I ended up using like a wood ruler and a reach, the tip of the reach. Yeah, it was the GTI. That was a fun time. Yeah, they need to make a tool for that. Vinyl on the outside or nothing. Hey, I got it though, and it was damn clean. I was very proud of it. Pointless little window. I know, right? It was crazy too. I had to do it twice because the first time I had a light gap in the back top corner. I don't know. Yep. Yep.
What you doing?
No, we were just talking about the GTI. What's going on? Is Jimenez here?
No,
Oh, what's up, Shady J?
Brady J. I
We were
heard
just
you got a
talking
slap
about
on the wrist. Haha.
what does that mean?
Got restricted on the Facebooks.
You know who else got restricted on Facebook? And I couldn't believe it. Billy freaking Murray.
Oh, wait a minute. That was Billy frickin' Murray. See, I try to catch up so many things because I don't get on Facebook that much anymore, and it sucks. And so I get on Facebook and I try to catch up with everything. And yeah, no, it wasn't Shady J. He didn't get in trouble. It was Billy frickin' Murray. But yeah,
Dude, Dark Side. Brendan, you gotta take a video. If you take a video, I'll take a video this weekend because I got one coming too.
yeah. Alex got an 80 coming, and oh,
Rick says
that's a car
Rick
that's not
says
to be reckoned with.
he says I have a 92% chance of failure. So I take that as encouragement. I'm gonna give it my everything.
He's got a challenge accepted attitude. He's like, you think I can get it within a whole roll? But honestly, if it would be a toss up between the Orbit and the Nova as far as if you got a super, super difficult car to do, those are going to be your two go to films. You can shrink those fuckers around a basketball. Um, And the supernova is close, but with that oxide layer, it takes the heat better, which might be a little tougher to shrink.
Hold on.
Alex is gonna run out and help with the UPS cart because I don't know. That's how he rolls. So yeah, the oh look, he didn't help much.
No, I just wanted a reminder that we had a next day air in the envelope basket.
Is that the little snafu one?
No, someone ordered next day air on a thing. No, that person actually agreed to it was she said she could wait and stuff. But I out of curiosity, I checked the ship stations rates versus our rates, and our ground shipping was the same cost as their 3 day shipping, and that would get it to them by Friday. So I went with that.
And then on the return envelope, you still did USPS because we're not in a super big hurry to
Yeah,
get them back.
yeah, first class. It was like
Cool beans.
less than $5, so that was good.
See,
Hey,
so make a note of that, guys, that we insist on shipping UPS to you guys because we're not willing to gamble with reliability from our shipper to you. But we made a mistake and sent somebody a couple of the wrong tools. So we need to retrieve those back and get them new ones. And when we're retrieving something back from you, we don't have a problem waiting for their screw ups because it doesn't affect you. So we'll pay like $3 or $4 for return shipping. How much was it? Do you remember?
the return shipping is like
Yeah.
$5.
Okay.
I don't remember the exact
But it's
rate.
coming from California, so it'll probably be like 10 days before we see it. But it
Yeah,
is what
and
it
then
is.
the shipping there was 13. It was like not bad. I think
That's real.
next day air was like under $20. I think they're just like in that right part of California.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, if you would have told me next day it was $20, I'd have said go for it. That's freaking crazy.
Yeah. They must be close to an airport or something. Hey, question about that Corvette though. Like, couldn't I hit it with a 60-inch roll and shrink sideways?
I've
Or is
heard
that like,
rumors, but I've never tried that.
I mean, it feels like it would almost make more sense to do it that way.
What's up, Trace? Glad you could make it.
Dude,
Closing
that is
in
a
towards
person
the
we haven't
end of the
seen
show, and oh, I saw him just a week or two ago too.
in person.
Alex, no, on Tool Talk or Tint Talk,
I
or
know, but it's a week ago. It's a long time.
it is, and I don't know. My memory's
And
been
it's like
fried.
all these other people you see on Facebook and stuff and like talk to them in chats all the time, you know? But like Trace, Tool Talk's the only place.
Yeah, yeah. He's not big all over Facebook, blabbing his yacker. He's busy making the dollars. He takes time out of his day to come see us here, and we appreciate that.
Dude, I need a Max Flux heat gun.
Is that right?
Yeah, because like from my experience, when I use the Wagner at home versus if I shrink with the Max Flux at Tint Squad, I feel like I have such an easier time with the Max Flux heat gun because I feel like the
Well,
heat gun is doing more of the work than I am.
yeah. Well, and a lot of that's the airflow. But if you've been using a Wagner for 10 years and then all of a sudden try to switch to a Flux, you'll hate it because you already have your style of tinning, and the Max Flux treats the film differently. A lot of people are like, it's slower with the Max Flux. Well, the Max Flux putting out a lot more air. So you've got to concentrate the heat and use the air to your advantage. So it's you're either going to change your style of shrinking, or and you don't shrink it. I mean, you do a lot of doors. you don't shrink a ton of back glasses, so you're not like
Well,
all
at
over.
10 squad, Charles lets me do most of the back glasses now.
Yeah, so most of your shrinking is done with a max flux. So
Yeah.
you can't get the Wagner to do what you can get the max flux to do. And
No, and
that's
it's like,
that's
you know, you know how we like talk to the film and the film talks to us or whatever that metaphor is? I feel like at that point the Max Flux is talking. It's like my translator, you know. Uh Brendan, I'm charging 450. I learned on a Red Craftsman. I learned on a Red Craftsman. Rick gave me my first heat gun and it was a Red Craftsman. Yeah, I feel like Wagner doesn't push any heat out or any air out. It's just like
no,
it's like a
it's
fun.
a heat gun. It's not an
It's like
air
a.
gun.
It's like a 2-year old trying to blow up birthday candles.
Steinel for the win. Now, a little unknown fact: Steinel does make the max flux heat gun. So just so you know, Jordan and Nick aren't in the back room, pumping out heat guns. They went to a good company and they wanted something that was affordable, and it's expensive, but it's not like mainstream Steinel expensive. And a lot of people think it's like really heavy, but it's actually, I think, 4 or maybe 6 ounces heavier than a Wagner. It's not, I mean, it seems heavy. And then if you hold it at the orange part, it's resting on your wrist area, and you'll hold it like this, which I don't because I've been holding it by the handle for way too many years. And I shrink with a torch, which is way heavier than any of them. And so, but yeah, it's actually less fatigue if you hold it the way that Nick says to hold it from Fusion. And he's right. It's just holding it that way. I'm so ingrained to hold it by the handle where the trigger is that it it isn't quite. And Shady says he can't do the barrel grip either.
I mean, I don't mind holding it from the handle. Plus, I got like my little wrist flick that I like already got going on, so I
And
don't
a,
mind.
a little a little secret: if you pull shrink, you can probably do shrink a window in half the time, and so it's still less fatigue. I mean, just like if you guys remember, there's a couple tricks you can do with really easy things. Like, for instance, I don't know if a lot of you guys know it, but and I'm going to try to do this. I don't know if you can see me. Hold on, I'm going to go back. I'll bring this up here, and I'll go back here so you can see me better. Okay, can you see me? All right, so to go into this position like this is really easy. Anybody can do this. Try to do it for 5 minutes. It's not really easy, and you'll probably fall down. So that's what the difference is between a heat gun like the Max Flux versus a Wagner.
Oh, dude.
If you can if you can use the Wagner the way that it was, or I mean the Max Flux, the way that it works, and take advantage of what it has to offer, you're going to do things in a lot less time, causing less fatigue. So the weight's irrelevant. But if you well, Shady says just grab a torch and full send it. A torch weighs like with the tank like 3 times the weight of a Wagner, but you're not going to see anybody. Actually, maybe 4 times. I don't know. I have to weigh them, but you don't see anybody complaining about torch fatigue because you have to use the torch. Well, no, I see a lot of people using a torch like a heat gun, and that makes me scratch my head. The torch is a different animal, and if you use it properly, a lot of back glasses I can shrink down in about 30 seconds, and you can't do that with a heat gun. I
Hey, Rick.
mean, huh?
I got a cool video
Uh-oh.
that I saved from all these years.
Yeah?
Oh yeah.
Oh God, are you talking about the Tesla?
No, it's the first time you've ever used a max flux heat gun
Oh,
ever.
let's see.
Here.
Oh, I'm curious now. I don't even remember the first time I used a Max Flux heat gun, but I
Where
did grow
is
to
it?
like it.
Can you see it?
Not yet.
How about now?
Kind of have to. You kind of have to put it on. Oh, is this at the convention? Oh, you were there?
Yeah.
Oh, I hated it.
I
Rewind it. Start over. Make it bigger.
can't
Put
make it
those
bigger
little.
because it's already full screen. Oh,
But you see how I'm aggressive I'm, and this is absolutely the first time that I used a. Alex, I think is not videoing me. Alex, how much of me did you get? There you go. But you see how aggressive I'm getting with that? How on the film? You can't do that with a Wagner. You're going to burn the film because the Wagner just puts out concentrated heat. And this I noticed was putting out a lot of air. So I was using the air to push around the fingers. So you notice that I'm shrinking it without touching it. And that's kind of the way I shrink, anyways. I don't rely on pushing the film down. So that's intriguing. Too bad Alex kept forgetting he was recording.
I
But no,
got
that's good.
no. I got the video of you doing the like someone bet that you couldn't shrink a
Hard
Corvette back
car.
glass with a torch. And so we
Oh.
were at Classic and you had one, and then you kept fucking it up. And you're like, "Are you gonna sit there with the camera and record me? You're gonna come fucking help me with this thing?" And I'm like, "Oh shit!" It was a good time.
Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't go as well as others.
Oh, good
Hilarious.
times.
Pull shrink is definitely the way. I pull shrink just about everything now, even with the torch, without the torch, with I mean, even if you hand me a Wagner or a Porter cable, I'm gonna pull shrink because it's just so much more efficient. Instead of shrinking fingers, now you're shrinking film. You're shrinking the curve rather than shrinking fingers off the curve. So you don't have to shrink so much in one place. Um, but yeah, that was Indianapolis. What year was that? That
2019.
was 2019. So that was 4 years ago. The C6 didn't go the C6 doesn't go the way anybody wants it to ever. I mean, most of the time I can one shot it, but it's such a, I mean, it's a hard window to do. I mean, it's hard to get the film to do what you need it to do. And a lot of it is because of the way that it curves around at the bottom. And, I will trim the side because I'll trim my sides. Now, what you want to do with that is trim it straight down so you can shrink it straight down. And the problem I have is I'll start trimming the side and I'll start following that curve and I'll be like, oh shit, I'm supposed to go straight down. And then I try to go from there. And if you cut that curve to shrink at the bottom, it gets really difficult because it just does. It's stupid. But if you cut it from where it rounds, if you cut it straight down and pretend that black line isn't there and just shrink it straight down, it becomes a whole lot easier to shrink. And then you trim it. And once you trim it, you'll have a couple fingers pop up and you can shrink those fingers out at an angle. It's not that, terrible. So yeah, Don was there for that too. First shot, I almost had it, but burned the bottom corner too high. And the other thing that I'll do with a Corvette is I will always shrink the bottom first, and you put extra at the top and don't trim it. Not until you're done shrinking the bottom of it, because when you burn that spot, you can move it down so that you've already shrunk past the edge, and the burn will be outside the edge. And if you've left it high enough, you've still got film above that. And so that's a little secret. You can get past it that way. And then once your bottom's completely down and burn free inside the clear, then you can trim the bottom and make it happy and go up and trim the top and shrink it. And you'll be surprised at, how much you can get away with by doing it that way, and you don't have to redo the window. You just have to reposition the window. But that also kind of, means you can't trim anything at the top. Even if you come around a little bit at the top, it's then when you move it down, your side edges are going to come in to the clear part of the glass, and you don't have enough film up there. So straight up and down on the sides, and shrink it as if it was a square window on the bottom, and make sure you got lots of extra on the top, because again, if you hit too much heat in one spot for too, because when you get the film as hot as you get it shrinking a C6, you're right on the edge of burning the film, and one little hiccup and you've burned a spot, and you're either at that point you're either starting over or just moving it down. And I learned that back in the Crown Vic days, and the Crown Vic's been around for a lot of years, and I've done thousands of them. And it's a small back window, and when I was learning, that was the kind of car that I cut my teeth on, so to speak. And it just one day it dawned on me that if I didn't trim this window all the way around, I would have tint up there that I could use, and I could move it down or up depending on where you burnt it. But if you trim it first and then shrink it, you're kind of, you got one shot at it. So hopefully that helps moving forward with cars like that. Volkswagen Beetles. Um, Chevy Lumina had a shitty car to do. Chevy Corsica was really shitty to do. Hell, even the Cavalier two door was shitty to do. There was a lot of really, really hard cars back then. The Mitsubishi Eclipse, a shitty back window to do. The Dodge Stealth, a shitty. I mean, there are just so many of them. And those are the windows that we learned to shrink on. And I'm telling you, have an extra film at the top and bottom so that when you mess up, you know, you have room to move it around. And, all right, Andrew, we're gonna catch you later. Honestly, we are
Yep.
the stream ended 10 minutes ago. We're just really good at or really bad at keeping track of time. This new 5 o'clock format thing for the end time is going to take some getting used to, obviously. But you guys have been great, and I really enjoyed having you here. This was good conversation today. We talked about some really cool stuff. When I asked
Yep.
Alex earlier today what we were going to talk about, what did you say, Alex?
I don't even remember.
Just tell the truth. You can't do it.
Oh, something like
If you
that.
can't do it, just say you can't do it.
Yeah.
But that would have been a less enjoyable topic, because none of us want to accept defeat. We're and how do you grow? You got to struggle through something that you think you can't do. And you got to break a couple eggs to make an omelet. So
Yep.
I don't know. It's been a real good show, guys, and we will see you back here next Tuesday. Uh,
Later.
yeah. All right. We'll see you
Bye.
guys.